everyone, Trish from Tap HR here, just with a video on the top 7 policies that I would recommend that any business has, really. So if you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe, whether that's to our podcast or our YouTube channel. You can get plenty of kind of free and really good quality HR advice for your business. So there are 7 policies that I would always recommend that businesses have, regardless of their size. And as much as, particularly for entrepreneurs, it feels like, oh God, I've got to do another policy, I need to write something down. It's just really important that you cover yourself as a business, but also that you're doing the right thing to make sure that you're looking after your staff. So there's 7 that I'd recommend that you have. They don't have to be massive and lengthy, but if you don't have them, do make sure that you get in touch with us so that we can help you out and make sure you've got what you need. So the first one is a disciplinary policy. Now, I know as great employers, you will have taken on people who aren't going to be naughty and aren't going to do silly things, but I can't stress enough how important it is to have a disciplinary policy in process from the word go, so that when something does go wrong, you've got something to refer to. Now, in the UK, obviously, we're super lucky to have the services of ACAS. So if you don't have a disciplinary policy, you can always refer to the ACAS Code of Conduct, which you can find for free on their website. But I would always recommend that you have a really clear policy in terms of what you're going to do when things go wrong. It just means that you don't have to be scrabbling around for what it is that you need to do. And it also means that from the get-go, your staff know exactly how they're going to be treated if something, the worst happens in terms of their behaviour and their conduct. The second one, which is kind of linked to the first, is a grievance policy. So again, talking about when things go wrong, I think it's really important that employees know that when they have a grievance and when they're not happy, you've got a clear way of how you're going to deal with that process, and they should know where they stand. So make sure that from the get-go you've got both a disciplinary and a grievance policy, because it just means that in that situation where something not great is happening, you've got a framework and people know exactly how they're going to be treated. The third one is a sickness absence policy. Now, obviously, we all hope that people aren't going to be ill, but in reality, people are people and they get sick. So it's really important to make sure that you've got a process for how you're going to handle sickness absence. Now, there's various different ways of doing this, and typically a sickness absence policy will be split up between how you deal with short-term absence and long-term sickness absence. Short-term usually being less than a month, and long-term being longer than that, really. So you're going to want to make sure that you've got something that covers that. And if you're able to, you might want to enhance the payments that you can give to people. So that's a benefit and something that you can do to be looking after them when they're in a tough spot. Or equally, you can go with the statutory minimum payments that are available to people in the UK, but make sure that you lay out very clearly what your sickness absence policy is. And a key thing to point out is your sickness absence policy is different to your maternity policy. So if you have somebody who's going to go off and have a baby, your sickness absence policy doesn't usually apply, although there might be some crossover if they are sick whilst pregnant. Next thing is a privacy policy, and to be honest, you should have a privacy policy in place right from the point that you take somebody's information and you take their data. So at the point that you are having applicants applying for jobs, you need to make sure that you've got something in place in terms of how you're going to deal with their data, and also at the point that you're bringing somebody in and taking their personal data in because you're doing things like their contracts of employment. Again, you need to make sure that you have a privacy policy in place. So it's linked to data protection and GDPR. I've probably all heard those words, but it's extremely important when it comes to employment law. So again, if you don't have anything like that in place, do feel free to get in contact and we'll do what we can to assist you. Next one is equal opportunities. Now, I would assume that as you're listening to this or watching this, you're a great employer and you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing by your people. So having an equal opportunities policy that points out how you will treat people fairly, again, is really, really important. And you can include things like how you will treat people during the recruitment process, just anything that's important in terms of equal ops. Another one, again, it's kind of about when you're in a tricky spot, is dealing with bullying and harassment. It's super important that if anything like that happens within your business, you jump on it as soon as you can and you deal with it in a fair and equitable way. So make sure that you've got a very clear bullying and harassment policy. And if anything like that comes up within your organisation, again, much like your disciplinary and grievance process, you're not scrabbling around for how you're going to deal with the process, because you've got something in place, it's set out, and equally your employees, again, know that if something happens within the organisation, you as their employer are bothered and you're going to do something about it. And the final one for me is having something around health and safety. Now, caveat being, I'm not a health and safety specialist, but it is really important that because you have a duty of care to your employees, you bear in mind that you need to have something that covers their health and safety. Even if they're working at home, if they're using a screen, if they're using equipment that you've provided, it's really important that you're aware of your health and safety requirements. So regardless of how small a business you are, if you're employing people, I would always say it's quite important that you have some sort of a health and safety statement, or people are at the very least aware of your responsibilities in terms of health and safety, and equally their responsibilities in terms of health and safety. There are a number of free ways that you can make sure that you've got the right policies and procedures in place. If you're a member of the Federation of Small Businesses, the FSB, they have a really super awesome range of policies and procedures that you can download and use. They're all written by some fabulous lawyers, so if you've got that and you're paying for that already, just make sure that you're using it, download those policies and make sure that they're tweaked and used to benefit you as a business. Equally, ACAS are great, so they might not have copies of all of the policies that I've just recommended, but they do have copies of quite a large number of them. So again, ACAS is a totally free resource in the UK. If you go on there, download whatever you need, or equally you can call their free advice line if you need any help and guidance. And obviously, here at TAP HR, we can also help you with your policies and procedures. So if there's anything that we can do to support, feel free to pop online. You can have a look at the packages that we offer, or equally give us a call or book in for a free consultation and we can help you out. So I really hope that helps. The message is there are 7 key policies that it's really important that you have within your business. We've outlined them here. So if you need any other help, support, or guidance, check out the free resources that I mentioned or get in contact.